Hello, welcome back to Middle Earth Monday. In today's video, we're doing something that I've been wanting to see for a very long time. It took me a long time back in the day to get my hands on 3 of the mounted Nazgul, the Black Riders, if you will. They weren't available for quite a long time. Obviously, they're now back on the website, but for a long time they weren't. I had to go secondhand to get my hands on my initial 3, and I never honestly thought I would be able to get the full 9. Well, that changes in today's video. I bit the bullet and purchased another 6 from Games Workshop, and in today's video, I'm gonna build and paint those so I can see, finally, fully fledged, mounted, in all their glory, the full 9 Nazgul, which I will be needing for the Bree scenery or the Bree scenario for my quest for the Ringbearer. Now, I know you don't use all 9 in that, but there's some scenarios pretty quick after in which I will need all 9. So it's good to get them out of the way and get them ready for myself. So I'm excited to do this and show you in today's video. So yeah, before I get into it, a huge thank you to everyone there who continues to support the channel in all the myriad ways it is possible. Liking, commenting, subscribing, that's all amazing. Anyone out there who goes the extra mile supports over on Patreon, thank you guys so much for that continued support. Obviously that keeps the lights on and the cameras rolling, so I can't thank you guys enough, but I do try extra videos and podcasts and private Discord and obviously monthly giveaways. So if you want to be with a chance of winning something cool every single month, all you need to do is sign up to Patreon at any tier. Without further ado, let's dive in and start painting up 6 more Black Riders and then see all 9 of them finished and completed on the tabletop at the end. Let's get into it. So these are the 2 boxes in question that literally arrived in the post, I think 2 days ago. This is going to be one of the quickest turns around of receiving something and getting it painted I think I've ever done, because I was just so excited to see them fully done. Now, they are metal miniatures, they are multi-part, multi-pose, and they're very old. In fact, I'm going to go away and find out how old they actually are. These models were released in 2001. That is an awfully long time ago. And unfortunately, the molds have suffered a little bit, so I did spend a little bit more time than I was expecting getting these models kind of cleaned up, drilling through like the bridles and trying to get the old flash where they used to be mold, which would have, you know, created gaps and shapes and stuff, which is kind of gone now. So they got filled in with extra material in the molding process. So I got them as clean as possible. I got them assembled. I got them sprayed black and then sprayed gray sear. And then it was on to the painting of the models. And I'm not going to go into a crazy amount of detail as to exactly how I painted these, because I've already done a video where I paint the first set of 3 that I ever got. So I will refer you back to that if you're looking at this video being like, I want to learn how to paint my mounted Ringwraiths. I'll leave a link here so you can go to that video and check it out, and I'll give you all the paints and all the steps and everything like that. This video is about getting these done for the Quest for the Ringbearer series. Finally pulling the kind of trigger on a few extra bits and pieces that I needed. I did have, I think, 99% of what I needed for the Quest for the Ringbearer. I just hit a little bit of a wall with the next couple of scenarios with obviously needing 9 Ringwraiths, and I needed 18 wargs as well. And because I was kind of a good player, I never really delved too deeply into the evil player. Since then, I've collected a lot of evil kind of armies, but never wargs. So I found 6 that someone gave to me a long time ago. They're the Fell wargs from The Hobbit, which I think are much nicer sculpts than the original wargs. So I bought 12 more of those and the Ringwraiths the other week just to kind of get myself ready. I forgot to order the Wild Warg Chieftain, which is another miniature that I desperately need for an upcoming scenario. I don't really know what the plan is with that. Because I'm using the Fell wargs, the Wild Warg Chieftain will be he'll be too small next to those models. So I'm going to have to find some sort of alternative, something that will stand out as the boss for those. If anyone has any suggestions, let me know in the comments below. Any links to any cool things like a 3D print, let me know. But wargs are not what we're here to talk about. The 9 has always been one of the most menacing, evil things that exist in all of kind of TV and film. I remember being kind of a kid in the cinema and seeing these guys ride into the Shire, and they're just being utterly terrifying. As soon as they met, I believe it was Farmer Maggot, and they were asking him for, you know, Shire bag ends, and the utter terror on the Hobbit's face told you everything you need to know about these mysterious Black Riders that were hunting our little heroes as they kind of trot through the Shire and try and escape to Bree. So yeah, for the longest time I've wanted to get my hands on 9, but they've just been so expensive. I mean, the 9 models cost €165. And it's just kind of crazy for these really old miniatures. But like I said, I pulled the trigger, I got the miniatures, and I needed to see basically like a return on my investment almost immediately. I wanted to see these 9 models put on a tabletop with some trees and some rocks around them and some scenery, and just kind of get that sense of accomplishment, those endorphins. So I got stuck straight in, a bit of brown, bit of black, bit of silver, bit of black wash. There's not really a lot to these ring wraiths. Obviously we'll do a little bit of layering, and then I think the trick that I've been using for some of these kind of duller Lord of the Rings miniatures is the basing. I've been kind of pushing myself to add a little bit more flair to the basing. Back in the day, my Lord of the Rings models, I don't even think I put sand on. I think I just put PVA glue and grass over a black base, and it looked awful. I put a lot more effort in these days with things like the texture paste, and then I lean so heavily on Green Stuff World for all of their tufts and reeds and little bushes and stuff to kind of elevate the models to the next level. I wouldn't be able to do it without those guys, so a big thank you for them for sending out such a large care package. Didn't actually sponsor this video, they sponsor videos on my main channel, but it's always nice to be nice. And obviously, because the models are so old, and because, like I said, there's only 3 colors to them, the splash of color you need is from the base. So like I said, I'm going to add in some color with flowers and all that. Another trick that I like to do when it comes to painting ring wraiths, which was kind of an accident when I was painting them the first time, and obviously I carried it through to this, which is after I'm finished layering up the wraiths, by that I mean layering up the brown on the horse, the black on all of the material, and then the silver bits from his sword and his armored greaves and his boots, and then I move on to dry brushing up the bases and basically getting them with the dry brush of orange and the dry brush of bone that I like to do on my models. I carry those dry brushes up and over the models in a very light way. I just want to catch the edges, I want to dirty up their robes and stuff like that, because these guys have basically been doing the exact same journey as the Fellowship, just in reverse. They were kind of released from Minas Morgul all the way up in Mordor, and they had to travel all the way down through pretty much the entirety of Middle Earth, down through like the Gap of Rohan and everything. It's where they pick up their black horses. Painted them brown because it would have been too much black otherwise. And then all the way into the Shire. So these guys may have had pristine, dry cleaned black robes when they left Minas Morgul, but by the time they get to the Shire and we start to see them as the bad guys in the movie, then they're going to be a little bit dirty and a little bit scruffy. And I think adding that light dry brush that I do here with the orange and then the bone over it, I think it adds something. And see, like I said, it's not too much. It doesn't detract, doesn't make them not look like black riders, but it kind of adds a kind of definition to the robes and some of the other shapes. As you can see how lightly I am dry brushing them. And I think it works. I think it looks really cool. You let me know in the comments whether you would do the same or you would ignore these steps and just focus on the base and leave them as that grim, dark black rider that you would want. Obviously, it's a personal preference. And then obviously a nice matte black paint for tidying up the rims before we actually move on to the flowers. So like I said, we're going to be using some of these shrubs and then the extra large grass tufts, which I end up cutting into like, each one is so big and so thick that I like to cut them up into smaller, taller reeds and kind of gluing those into places that I need to do. So that works for me. And I've shown myself many a times attaching these reeds, cutting them to length and then using a little bit of super glue. And like I said, gee, these tiny little things just add such a pop of color to the models that I love it. So like I said, some shrubs, some tall grass tufts for the kind of bushes or underbrush, which these guys are kind of charging through to get to their destination, the Shire. They understand that the shortest point between any 2 places is a straight line, so they just go in a straight line through everything. And then obviously some traditional flock to finish them off and blend them in with the original ones. And with that, we have our finished 9 Nazgul. I know only kind of 5 went into the Shire, but I like the idea of all 9 being somewhere close by the rest of them. And then obviously the Pursuit, which we will see in another scenario, which will be really cool. The wounded Frodo being carried along by his elven maiden, and then the other 4 arrive, and it's just an epic scene. So a couple of still images to give you an example of what the models will look like. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. You're looking forward to the rest of the series. Next week we will have the Bree scenario, which I'm very excited to finally bring to the tabletop, and I hope you guys are as excited to see it as I am to show it to you.